Hello, and welcome to the Creative Mindset Podcast. My name is Isolde Trachtenberg, and I am thrilled you are here. I want to talk about changing times today. Specifically, I want to talk about what you do when things change sort of under you. And I have a couple of specific examples in mind. When I was starting to be a professional musician, I talked to a good friend of mine named Al Petaway, who is arguably one of the best guitarists on the planet. He's incredible. He's a Grammy Award winner. He also happens to be a good friend. If you ever want to hear amazing guitar music, check him out. But anyway, I was talking to him about the kind of music to play if you want to be a professional musician. And he said, you play what is your music. You play what you love, and you'll find your audience. And I love that. I thought, wow, that's great. I'm just going to keep doing my strange mixture of world music and jazz and standards, and I will find my audience. And to an extent, I kind of did. And I was a professional musician for about 8 years, and then realized that I had other interests that I wanted to pursue, which were really entwined with environmental education and sort of doing my part to help save the planet. And that part of it was phenomenal, and I loved being a professional musician. And at the same time, again, I had other goals, if you will. And something happened during the intervening years when I was sort of busy doing my music and trying to find my audience. Things changed. And what I mean by that is suddenly, well, it wasn't sudden. Let's face it. We've changed how we create. We've changed how we do business. Certainly the internet and social media has really modified what we do. As artists, often you can still do your own thing, absolutely, right? You can still make your music. You can still paint your paintings. You can still create your creations to satisfy yourself. And there's a bit of a difference now between having sort of internal success and having commercial success. So then you have to ask yourself the question, which is it? What do you want out of what you do? If you want to be a professional musician, do you just keep making your music and put it out there and hope that people will like it enough to take up your cause, sort of? I mean, if you listen to what Seth Godin says, he says that you should tell your idea to 10 people, and if they don't turn around and tell 10 people themselves, then you need to go back to the drawing board on your idea, because your idea needs to be something that ignites people, that makes them go, yes, not only do I love it, but I want to tell everyone I know about it, which is great, unless the stuff you're doing, for example, if you're doing music that other people, that is really close to your heart, but that other people don't get, then it's not going to be this kind of a virus of an idea, right? It's not going to be spreading. And if you want commercial success, then you want those ideas or that art to be spread, and you need what some people call evangelists. And I love that Guy Kawasaki talks about that in his works, that you need evangelists. In fact, he called himself the Apple evangelist for a long time. And so when you listen to or read Seth Godin and you talk about, and when he talks about ideas that spread or virus ideas, and then Guy Kawasaki talking about this idea of being evangelists for each other, or for, like, if you want people in your life, for them to be evangelists of what you're doing, that becomes a bit of a challenge, because then you have to figure out how to find those people, right? And if you look at Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans, I'm going to put all this stuff in the show notes, by the way. I'm going to put down who are the people I talked about. If you look at Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans, he talks about that too, that in order to be a successful X, whatever X is, entrepreneur, artist, business person, whatever, you need 1,000 people who truly love what you're doing, in part because they'll tell others. And so then you have to ask yourself the question, do you keep doing what is true to you, even if it may not get you to that place of 1,000 true fans, or it won't do it quickly, certainly? Or do you do a little bit more like Gary Vaynerchuk says and keep a finger on the pulse of what people want and then give that to them? Now, I might be mischaracterizing what Gary Vaynerchuk says, but that's a little bit of what he says. I mean, he does talk about do what you love and then and only what you love and double and triple down on it. But then at the same time, you need to be adding value to other people. And so if you add value to other people, that's one thing. But if you are trying to connect with people so that they will get excited by what it is you're doing, don't you have to be creating ideas that they will get excited about? And if those ideas that you're creating that they get excited about aren't the same as the ideas that are inside you that are just yearning to burst free, then how do you reconcile the two? And it's something I'm giving a lot of thought to right now as I'm sitting in New York, a full-time New Yorker, having just moved at the beginning of the summer. And we've sort of closed off the Maryland door, my husband and I. And so now I'm sitting here in New York, in Brooklyn, going, all right, now what? And that's a good question for me to ask myself. Which is it? Which do I do? Do I keep talking about and thinking about and writing about this entire integrated brain concept that I'm really thrilled by, the idea of creating from that place of integration where you're not just a left brain thinker or a right brain thinker or a fore brain thinker or a hind brain thinker. You're actually an integration of all of those together, and that's the best place to achieve your goals from. So that's really what's got me super excited right now. And do I talk about that? If people aren't either aware or into it, do I keep talking about it? Right? It's what's really close to my heart right now as far as making decisions and coming up with ideas and finding your creative genius and all of that. It's really what I'm thinking about, and it's really what I want to talk about. And if I don't get that 1,000 true fans, what do I do? Do I change around and see what people are interested in hearing about and talk about that? Or do I keep really delving into and thinking about and talking about this topic that I think can change everything in people's lives and wait until those people find me? And it is an interesting sort of thought process. Which is it? I'd love to hear from you about that. Which do you think it is? Is it better to just keep going your path, whatever that is, wherever it's leading you, your path, in the hopes that you will find the people along the way that get sparked by your ideas? Or is it better to keep your finger on the pulse and give to the people what they want, right? Because if you look at marketing and business and entrepreneurship nowadays, that's a lot of what they talk about. They talk about give the people what they want. Seth Godin says make ideas that are going to be viruses. Well, some of that could be your idea happens to be something that can be a virus that can spread, or it has to be ultimately what the people you're talking to want to spread out past themselves. It's something that I'm really struggling with, and I'd love to hear from you about it, what you think about this. I think it's important to distinguish that for ourselves, each of us, because we all have to make these decisions on a daily basis. Who am I? And more importantly, who do I want to be? And even more importantly still, what do I want to do about it? And those questions get answered when you figure out which way you want to approach your relationships. Today on the blog, actually, I put out an actual post, as opposed to just a podcast post, I guess, about relationships and about developing your relationships. I would love to hear from you what you think about that too, because there is something to this to me. Relationships are what it's all about, and either it's a relationship of equals or it's not, but we all, I think, can stick up for each other and really spread each other's ideas and, hook into what's cool about someone's idea to you and then spread that. But that means we have to change the way we think a little bit. We have to change that paradigm because a lot of times we are a content consuming culture, if you see what I mean. We take in the content, we read it, we see it, we watch it, we hear it, but we may not get the idea of going, hey, wow, that was really cool, I'm going to spread it. So something might spark us to spread it, to make something go viral, for example, or it might not. And which is most prevalent? Something to think about. Alrighty, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode of the Creative Mindset Podcast. I'm Isolde Trachtenberg, and I would love to hear from you about what I've talked about. If you have ideas or thoughts on it, please get in touch. You can DM me or PM me at Isolde T just about anywhere. And also, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what I'm discussing, please rate and review the podcast. It would mean the world to me if you did. Until next time, I'm Isolde Trachtenberg once again, sending you all of my love. Thanks so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and please tell your friends about the community we're building here. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright Isolde Trachtenberg 2019. Today's music was from Kevin MacLeod, Laser Groove, and Ave Marimba, brought to you by Creative Commons License 3.0. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope. Until next time, I send you all of my love.